And the woman police officer who looked like John Denver in a Farrah Fawcett wig led me into what would become the room of hell. What is happening, roadies? Welcome back to yet another Story Time Friday here at Roadie Free Radio. Thank you for swinging by and having a listen to this episode. I appreciate each and every one of you for doing so. It has been a blast doing these things. We're in February, my friends. We are in February. I cannot believe how quickly already 2022 is flying by. I hope you are well. I want to thank you for watching, for liking, for subscribing, for tuning in to all of these little videos and podcasts and stuff that I've been doing here for the last several years. It really means a lot to me. I appreciate you. You know I do. Listen, every Friday I read a story out of this book, Hell on Wheels by Greg Jacobs, a Tour Stories compilation. This is the original book, man, that came out in the mid-90s. I picked one up. It helped me put together my short film, Roadie. If you want to check that out, I'd appreciate it. You can head over to roadiefreeradio.com. Look in there for the film. You'll find it. It's called Roadie. I play the best of the best roadies. Kind of a Top Gun homage, if you will. An homage to Top Gun told through the world of roadies for a rock and roll band. Anyway, it's great to have you here. I'm super excited. This story is about a band called KILL SYBIL, a true story. We're going to get to it in just a second, but listen, if you want to pick up a copy of this book, you can by following the link in the description below. It will take you to a used copy of this book. If you want to wait just a few more months, maybe actually till midsummer, the new version of this book, a revised, updated version of this book with many more stories, is going to be coming out. Greg and I have been in touch, and I'm going to get Greg on this show at the end of this whole thing, hopefully sometime in June, to talk about this book, the new book coming out, all that good stuff. But if you want to grab a copy now, go ahead and use that link in the description below. It is an Amazon affiliate link, so every little bit helps. You know, it's a little something in the coffers, you know what I'm saying, to keep the show going. Anyway, I appreciate it. Also want to give a big shout out to the sponsors of this special series that we're doing, my good friends over at One of One Productions. If you are thinking about starting a podcast, or if you have a current show that you're looking to take to the next level, I suggest you head over to oneofoneproductions.com. Use that link in the description. They've got everything you need, from microphones, interfaces, storage solutions, whatever you need to get your podcast going and do it right. They are the ones to check out. So big shout out to them, oneofoneproductions.com. Tell them I sent you. Use the code ROADIEFREE when you check out, and you'll be getting some good stuff. All right, here we go, my friends. KILL SYBIL. Are you ready? You like the hat, by the way? I'm rocking some kind of Western thing. I picked it up in Santa Fe, New Mexico this summer on our trip. I thought I'd rock it for a video. Anyway, whatever, here we go. KILL SYBIL. This is a true story by Tammy Watson about the KILL SYBIL Blame It on the Mices tour. It is such a horror story that I actually left things out instead of exaggerating. The Worst Day of My Life, on tour or otherwise, by Tammy Ann Watson. Waking up to the smell of 4 pairs of 7-day-old tube socks was not the best sign. Opening my swollen eyes to the bloated face of some guy from one of the bands we played with the night before, I felt the world crashing in. The last thing I wanted to hear was, "It's checkout time," and that was the first thing he said. Of course, he had to slam the door and make my head explode. The sleazy Canadian motel room was filled with snoring men, 2 on the bed next to me, 2 or 3 on the floor, and 1 next to me. As the only girl in the room, I knew I had to get out of there before they stood up and revealed some part of their body that I would never want to see. The log next to me rolled over and shoved me. Apparently, I was the only one woken up by Mr. Redface's wake-up call. Standing up, that smelly rock glass night body funk permeated my nostrils, and I ran for the bathroom, knowing I was about to lose every drink I ever had. Managing to only step on one head and 3 feet on my way to the John, I hurled myself clean. As I am known for my loud vomiting, I woke the rest of the passed out beasts up and missed their pale, pasty nudity as they dressed while I puked. When I came back into the room, I was greeted with so many faces of sickly, hungover boys that I figured I was in hell or on tour with one too many bands. All I could do was head for the patio and lament ever agreeing to be a part of the label showcase in a foreign country. I couldn't remember exactly how much I had drank the night before or what chemicals had made it into my system, and I definitely didn't want to think about how much I had ingested in those short previous 5 days of the Blame It on the Mices tour. Stumbling out, everyone managed to group with their own bands, as it is next to impossible to organize 30 hungover punk rockers into 6 or 7 band vans. We even found a place to eat God's gift to the terminally hungover: 2 very greasy eggs, hash browns, burnt toast, and diner coffee with that ever so replenishing large glass of water. After the grease settled in, I realized the KILL SYBIL van was full, meaning my band van was full without me. The Mices were already staying at my house on this tour of the Northwest, and we were headed back to Seattle, home for a show that night, then off to finish the tour down south. So I got in the van with them. This is where the bad dream ended and the nightmare began. Cracker Bash decided to smoke the pot they had so they wouldn't get busted at the border with it. Good planning. So we joined in too. Of course, we didn't realize in our still drunk from the night before state that it would mean being stoned out of our simple little minds at the border crossing. Quickly polishing off the grass, we stonily rolled to the border. We had nothing to fear but those ever so friendly, sarcasm, Canadian border police. Once again, I found myself in a small place with 4 smelly men, but this time it was a van at an international border. Almost immediately, the border police told us to pull it on over for inspection. 5 stoned hearts froze right there. Before we even got out of the van, the border dogs were pointing the "you've got illegal substances and must die" finger right at us by running straight for the yellow mini school bus tour van. I thought I would just pet the police pooches when they came at me and sniff my pot smoke soaked clothes and say they must smell my dog. But I didn't get the chance. They put us into a waiting room with about 10 official-looking fucks staring right at us. I got up to go pee, and the Mr. T wannabe said in these exact words, "Sit down. You can't go to the bathroom till we say so." Then we all knew this was the shit. First, they called the boys into the secret rooms down the hallway. In my stone paranoia, I knew the cavity search was happening, but I just didn't want to think about it. And of course, they called me in last. I only saw one of the Mices as the woman police officer that looked like John Denver in a Farrah Fawcett wig led me into what would become the room from hell. I was shaking from the pot and was nauseated by the thought of this she government bitch touching me. Before I could get sick, the touching began. She sat me down on the floor and took off my boots. At first, this kind of amused me as I sold shoes when I wasn't rocking out, but sitting there stoned, my bare feet freezing, the humor was missing. Then she told me to stand up facing the wall. I did, and immediately she kicked my legs apart like on Beretta. Then she dumped out my backpack. My heart really pounded. I had some codeine, which is legal in Canada, in my pack, and I knew it wasn't legal to bring it back to the U.S., and I had forgotten it was in there. Of course she found it and asked what it was for. "Personal use," I said, feeling articulate. 1,200 tablets? She asked. She dumped it all out on the floor and threw the empty bottles at my shoes. Then I heard one of the Mices say, "Ah, that hurts." My heart stopped. And then policewoman Farrah Denver says to me, "Drop your pants." My heart fell and my stomach turned. I wasn't stoned anymore. I was repulsed. With my pants around my ankles and only my bra on by this point, she calls in backup. I can't see them. I'm considered dangerous because of the drugs, and apparently someone else had a sharp object on their person. Every sick, hungover, tired, tore muscle in my body was revolted as she ran her thick, leathery hand all over me. Holding back my smart-ass comments, I felt her hand head south, tightening my stomach. I felt it, yes. It was the front and rear hands on cavity search. I started to heave. She pulled away and I turned toward her and saw that her backup was a group of 4 men who had been watching her violate me. And the fucked up part is, it was all legal for her to do. She was looking out for the American public. At that moment, I knew this was the most fucked up day of my life and possibly a curse on the rest of the tour. I had no way of knowing it was only 3 o'clock and I had the whole fucked up day to live before me. When she finally left me to dress in the room, I took a stone chance and refilled the codeines and put them in my bag. When I came back into the waiting room, I saw the sad rock blobs all sitting in a row waiting to be allowed into our home country. They all looked at me with pity. They knew I had been searched in all the wrong places and could tell I was about to cry. Even their funky B.O. hugs didn't help. I needed to purge that she from my private parts right there and then. They let us go in a long or short while. I'm still not sure how long. And we headed back to Seattle. In Bellingham, we happened to stop at the same gas station as KILL SYBIL. They asked why we looked so fucked. I told them and they thought I was making it up until they looked in my eyes. Then they just said, yuck, and climbed back in the van. The 3-hour drive went by okay, and never before had home looked so good. We fought to be first out of the vehicle that had caused us so much violation. Like a bad sitcom, we fell over each other into the house. The first thing to greet us was the smell of wet, then the sound of running water. Then someone yelled, "Your faucet exploded!" The day from hell was just greeted by Satan. My house was flooded. We just stood there. Then I finally cried. Fuck rock. Fuck touring. Fuck leaving my house. The Mices were great and I ladled out my house. By then it was late, 7:30 or so, and we just had to take some codeine, smoke a bowl, and take a nap. As we all said good napping and were about to find a dry place to curl up and hopefully die for a while, we heard a choking sound. Oh yes, it keeps going. We all looked into the kitchen that still had enough water on the floor to float plastic boats, and my 22-pound cat projectile vomited on top of the water. We watched the half-chewed moist cat food float across the room. We almost laughed, but just couldn't. Joe Micey loaded a bowl and we somehow passed out. But wait, there's more! Remember, we are on tour supporting our record releases. I wake up to go pee and I hear a voice talking into the answering machine. It's the booking agent from the club KILL SYBIL, and the Mices are supposed to be playing that night. The show starts in half an hour. Where are you? The door's open at 8. Call me. Tammy, your band's here. Where are you and those Mices? I just started shaking and laughing and woke everyone up. I put on a fancy dress, and Mark Micey tells me I look Californian. Well, he puts on a suit coat, because remember, it's not how you look, but how you feel that's important. KILL SYBIL and the Mices finished up that tour, and over a year later, it's still hands down the worst day of my life. KILL SYBIL, people! That's a pretty rough one, man. I don't know. Anyone out there ever been strip searched? I have not. And I don't plan on it anytime soon. But if you have, I would love to hear about it in the comments below. Listen, stick around for next week. We've got a story about a band called King Missile coming up. From KILL SYBIL to King Missile. Folks, if you want to support a crew member out on the road, you can do so by heading over to roadiefreeradio.com, picking yourself up some merch. We've got everything from stickers and buttons and magnets and more stickers. You grab that stuff and a portion of those proceeds will go to musiccares.org or roadiecare.com to help out a crew member in need during these crazy times. Another big shout out to oneofOneProductions.com for sponsoring this whole series. Couldn't do it without you guys. I love you, man, and I love all of you guys. Thank you for swinging by and having a listen. Subscribe if you haven't done so. to the podcast as well as to this channel. And I will see you guys next week, and I will see you somewhere down the road.